we doing?
Hi, V.
Hello, V! Hey, sweetie, how's it going?
Oh, do I need to turn on my... hang on a sec.
No,
I
you
need
do
to turn
not.
my camera... Oh, aha. Aha!
Give it a
I am
second.
here.
Yes. Topical that you bring that up because I'm kind of doing something like that today.
Ooh.
You say ooh as if it's a positive thing. It's more of a negative thing out of necessity. Of yesterday on stream, everything broke. So I'm now gonna make a PNG for when things break.
In case of emergency, let dog out of cage.
Yeah.
Just to say very quickly, V, congratulations and best of luck with that interview. Fingers
Ooh,
crossed for you, buddy.
Ooh, hell yeah! Heck yes! I hope that they get back to you with the interview.
Sorry, please continue now.
No, it was a very important interruption. Very important. Fingers crossed you hear back soon. Yes. I can at least say that my mood is at least more positive than yesterday, because honestly, yesterday's stream I felt really bad afterwards because God, I had bad energy on yesterday's stream because the work did not go well, and then all of my stuff crashed and broke. The stream got cut off. It was bad energy yesterday.
Ooh,
It was bad energy, and I ended the stream and I was like, I'm gonna go for a walk and go scream in a field, and then I'd come back and make dinner, and yeah, so it was ugh. But at least when I did at least get a little smile of when I came back to make dinner, as is quite often my practice these days. I put a stream on my phone to watch while I cook, which I normally do, and I literally popped into the chat to be like, hi, because I'm normally quite active in the chat, and I was like, hi, I'm gonna be lurking because I'm cooking and also having a rough day, and they were like, it's okay, it's alright, and then they were just like, everybody who's having a bad day, sometimes a day is just fucked, and you should just let the day have it. It's not a big deal. There's a new day tomorrow. Today will be gone, and there'll be nothing left. And tomorrow will be fresh. And I was sitting there in the kitchen, frying up some mushrooms for dinner, just going, "You're so right. I needed to hear this today." So I'm much better today. I'm much better.
Unlike D&D, not every day matters, and it can be okay.
No, to be fair, I think even in D&D there can be days that are just days. It's important to let people have that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Except when the world's gonna end in about 9 days.
That's topical, though. That's an exception. That's an exception.
Yeah.
Sometimes the world is going to end, and sometimes it's a shopping episode.
Yeah. Speaking of the world nearly ending, well, not yet, but it's getting there. Progress. So do you want to talk about D&D and
Do you want to talk about D&D, Daz?
Would I want to talk about D&D? No, I would. Okay.
Oh, okay. No, you said no. Fine, no, fuck it. No, you said no. But we'll talk about VR chat some more. I did get to test a new avatar yesterday, which is always very fun. It's like getting a new outfit.
Summer lovin', having a blast.
Go on then, we can talk about D&D if you want.
Oh. So we ended, like, I just mostly say this for the chat. It's like, Bane had a bit of an experience, and Hurry ended up nearly having a shouting match with Tala.
No, they did have a shouting match because they both shouted at each other. Yeah. They were shouting. And Tala's just there, just like, see, this is why I don't talk to people, because I can't say anything correct, and I'm a piece of shit. I also don't care.
No, you just say you don't care. Because it's easier to say that you don't care.
But her way of showing that she cares was in trying to help, but she isn't good at helping, so this is why she's like there, and she's like, see, this is why I don't bother. I was trying to help, and you're all mad at me, so I won't bother. Yay!
You love playing that negative charisma.
Yes! Negative charisma character, let's go! Characters that have been fun to play. Character with negative strength. Character with negative charisma.
It's interesting because I think like the closest I had was Fey 9 with that. I think I just had low strength. Let's see. They already notified me that the job would only be available as early as but you don't mind waiting. Oh, that's good.
That's okay though. So if you don't mind waiting, and it's nice that they like let you know that at least. It's I think it shows it's good that the cafe is, if anything, looking for a position so early, because it shows that whoever is in charge at least like plans for things. Because I feel like when it comes to things like cafes and stuff, especially like if you were going to apply for like a Starbucks or something, they would be just like, "Cool, you're hired. Can you work next week?" And it'd be like, "What? What?" So I think that at least bodes well.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. But yeah, Thane's little moment there was a bit of a thing of just going. It's simultaneously healthy and unhealthy that he's like, no, I'm aware what this is, and I'm not going to snap. I'm not going to. I want to snap so badly.
See, that's why Tala's there, and she's like, "You should snap." Now I'm gonna fucking snap back, because that's the kind of person I am. Which is why Tala and Hari shouted at each other, because Hari was like, "Tala, don't be mean," and Tala was like, "I need to be mean, because nobody's being mean. I'm not gonna baby people." You're not a special snowflake.
I came back from the dead, I literally am. But I had a lot of fun getting to RP with Astor. I had a lot of fun.
I'm sorry, Moo.
Go on.
I came back from the dead. I kind of am a special snowflake. There's a lady in Fallingsmore who I think you're forgetting.
There can be two snowflakes, and they came back in different ways from different sources, and one didn't have a death mark.
Again, we're getting away from what snowflakes are. I'm losing track of the topic already.
Yeah,
Gives me time with therapy, so all the better. Hell yes.
Good.
Best of luck on Monday. I hope this one goes through all right.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Also, am I going to see you Friday? Meet up Friday. Am I going to see you? Because I'm going to be going.
I was very confused for a second and realized you weren't talking to me. I was like, wait, you're coming down? What the fuck? When? I know you mean VR.
Yes.
One thing that's probably going to save me a lot of time is I watched a video on this where essentially someone went, okay, here's how to paint a mini. Put it together without gluing it. And I was like, huh? Put it together without gluing it, and now look at every single piece that's going to be covered. Do not touch a single drop of paint on any of that. You do not need it.
Yep.
And I'm there like, but I'll know it's there, and it's literally just like the kind of thing of, it does not matter. It will never be seen. You are wasting your time and paint, and if you're gluing that location, it will seep. So do not do it. And I'm like, shit.
It also makes the glue less effective.
Yes.
Because it's sticking to the paint, not the plastic.
I have learned this the hardish way.
Yes.
Which is why so much of my shit has blue tack on it when it gets sprayed. Which is going to be a mighty challenge come my next things. There's one, so essentially the way that a lot of my miniatures are done, I think I've sent these to you before, where it's essentially the Headless Horseman. But in that way, if there's no head to torso, but also sometimes there's no arms.
Yeah.
Because you spray those separately, because you can paint them individually and then put them on. So it's just a bunch of Headless Horsemen, and all you do is put a bit of blue tack on the arm stumps, because the head doesn't matter, because it's going to sit in like a little. Most Space Marines, they have that kind of like nestled space at the top of their torso, like in the plate, and he just sits there.
Mm-hmm.
So it saves you then. You don't have to worry about it because like put a tiny pool there, drill a teeny tiny hole into the bottom of the Space Marine's head, so that's where it'll up to, and that fucker ain't going nowhere unless you yank his head.
Yeah. Probably go to the meetup for a bit, depending on my energy that day. I've been really tired for no real reason lately. Probably the heat. God,
Yeah.
the heat saps your energy. It has been humid and sticky today, and I have been low energy. As in, my mood is better than it was yesterday, but my energy has not been as good.
For us on this side, we've gotten very lucky because it's rained. It rained last night, and then it rained during the day a bit. So I was going to work as it was drizzling, and I'm not fussed about that because I brought an umbrella. So I can just go, yes, I can listen to this, and it's just good shit. I have no complaints.
Good rain sounds.
And then it rained there as I sat down having dinner, and I'm just like, da na 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 na. But to get back on talking about Hot Boys, in the literal Hot Boy, I was, because previously with Astor, talking with Curls about certain things, she's said in the past, like, you guys don't know Astor's story, so you don't know why. Like, say, when she did the RPG, the one-man RPG thing, where the character's narrative developed by itself, and Astor was, like, a widow in that. She was like, oh, fuck, how did the game figure this out? And it's like, who knows?
Oof.
But it's that thing of finding that out about him is like, you went. And at the same time, the guy's like, oh, I'm not brave, I'm not anything else. And I'm just sitting there going, you ran into Edmund Destreas' burning building and tried to pull someone out. Like, you're not brave my ass. It was a lot of fun talking about Lucille with him, and he's like, ooh, buddy, you might not want to go home. And it's like tells off the rest of it, like, oh shit, you have a proper little fucking fairy tale love story there. And I'm like, oh shit, I did write one, didn't I? Oh. And he's just like, oh, you gotta be like the pious boy. And I'm like, but there's so many hot people. It's been hell. Credit to Thane, he hasn't done nothing, but at the same time, he's just there going, ah. Like, I fully, as a joke, I'm saying this as a joke, Thane and Lucille going around after, like, all the campaign is over, all the things are done, just, like, meeting hot people, and it's just, like, Thane and Lucille looking at each other, doing eye emojis, and like, I mean, we could. It's like, we're not cowards. But it's like, I'm not doing that before. After, we can talk when she's there, but I ain't doing it before.
Oh my god.
Am I terrible?
What a goal! What does your character want to do once they've saved the world? Become a swinger. That's some bard level shit.
Look, we ain't got a bard, okay, and I've got the highest charisma, so someone's got to do it. But no, we don't have to do it. There's never a demand of it. But it's the funniness of it. It's the humor of it. It's the banter. And there's something just very, like, silly about that. But, like, Thane won't. Like, will Thane want to travel as much as he can? Yeah, because that's how you become a good leader or ruler, is to understand multiple cultures. If you've only sit in one room for your entire life, you only know how to do things within those four walls. I did meme it with Curls though, because I thought it was fucking hilarious. When Astor was starting to talk about, oh, I am, the I'm like the enchanter essentially for the royal family and do war weapons, and I was like, and he was like, and I fucking hate doing it. And Thane just went, oh.
You fucking piece of shit.
I'm an absolute piece of shit. What's your point? I ended up, unfortunately, it was nothing that was recommended by anyone, but I ended up listening to essentially an audiobook.
Woo! I love
So,
audiobooks.
uh, it's a 40K one.
Ooh, where'd you get it from?
A YouTube channel. One of the guys I watched quite a lot, he essentially uploaded an audiobook of him, of all the chapters of a book about, well, not just that, but like a chapters about a book, and then like the backstory original of the character. Um, the first loyalist Primarch to come back. The model I gave Kay at UK Games Expo, Rebooted Gilliman, that guy. It's basically his narrative from start to current day, more or less. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it. And it's good because, like, I know Primarchs, they're essentially made by the Emperor. They're super, super powerful in every way, shape, and form. They have a legitimate aura about themselves that makes humans, either like be in awe of them, be inspired by them, be terrified of them, like whatever the Primarch kind of wants. Like, do they want to impose an aura of dread? It'll be an aura of dread and ruin. Do they want to present an aura of like empathy and the like? And of course, some of these, it's much easier for them to do than it is others. Like the really, really, really good guys can make everyone feel very like secure around them. The ones who are just scary by default are just terrifying by default. But it's essentially his rebirth, because one of his brothers who went evil stabbed him with a really, really nasty blade in the neck, and he essentially got like pseudo immediately put in a stasis bubble because all of his kids were like, oh god, this is going to kill him. But it's not going to just kill him, it's going to kill his soul as well. So they have no knowledge of how to fix this, heal this, or anything else. So they put him in a bubble and just hoped that it would save him. A bunch of shit happens, and the galaxy starts going very much so awry, and a character ends up, essentially like this would be the Nemo character, in that he is. You probably have seen like a tech marine in passing, that they're just like these robed red figures with 600 fucking mechanical arms. They're a bit spider-like, but humanoid, and more like they've got just additional legs for like, and additional arms for and this guy is the most tech priest of tech priests. Essentially, he's the oldest possible. One of those characters is like, you should have been dead a long time ago. You've done shenanigans to survive, or haven't you? And he's like, I tell you, I will kill you. So I'm not going to tell you. And it's like, understood. So essentially, he keeps going about this whole thing of like, oh, they just managed to survive. Now, bear in mind, they have an Eldar with them. They're space elves. This particular space Eldar can bring people back from the dead. That is literally her gimmick. She's one of the most protected characters in 40K directly because of this. Not like plot, well, yes, plot protected, but in that way of characters in universe acknowledge what she can do and either try to kill her as soon as possible, or they're like, oh fuck no, we've got to keep you alive. You must not die. Because, like, say for example with the space elves, their souls get snatched up by Slanesh, and this would become a ratings 18 video to discuss what they do further. So she can yank those souls back. That's a huge thing. She's one of the people that's there. Like a super powerful Inquisitor is there. A living saint is there. She's more or less one of the Emperor's, well, be the equivalent of an Emperor's greater demon. But, it's a greater angel. It's got all his aesthetic, but it's basically a demon. Like, she cannot be killed naturally. She gets resummoned to basically all the rules of a demon she kind of has, but pasted over in angelic colors so no one goes, oh. But for the Emperor specifically. And this robot man has a big, like a giant fuck off suitcase. I'm just going to call it a suitcase. And it's following him around constantly. And a bunch of their, like, individual guards are there and so on. And they arrive on the home world of the Space Marines. Or of the Space Marines in question here, which are the Ultramarines. These are the ones that recruited Gilliman, the guy I'm talking about. His guys are from. They're not the best fighters. They're not the best assassins. They're not the best at fortification. They are fucking amazing at logistics. Like, they have the largest supply of their number. Like, they're the largest, the most numerous chapter because they know how to keep a supply chain fucking running. So, they're very difficult to get rid of, and they tend to get made a bit of a poster boy because, well, they're the guys in blue. Anytime you've seen a Space Marine in blue, that's an Ultramarine.
Yeah, it's always the blue one, isn't it? Of just like, Mr. Genericson.
Which, in fairness, it wasn't always. For a long time, it was yellow because the Imperial Fists got a lot more limelight than they did, which was cool.
Yeah, I can see why from a branding standpoint they went for the blue color. You don't see a lot of things marketing themselves with yellow. Like, even Pokemon's flagship Pokemon is yellow, but the Pokemon, like, logo and stuff, they tend to use blue for that, and the Pokeball is red, and they'll use blue and red way more than they ever would use yellow. Yellow is
Even
not
then, Pikachu will put on, like, a little bit of a red hat or something like that.
Yeah, yellow is never a popular color for, like, anything, really. The only thing that's ever really, like, famously used yellow was McDonald's, and even McDonald's uses red as a secondary, so I can understand why they did the rebrand of, like, yeah, we're not going to use yellow anymore. We're not going to use yellow.
They arrive on the homeworld of these blue boys, the Ultramarines, and it is under immense attack by the current big bad at the setting, and he's still the big bad. He's a guy called Abaddon. Yes, like Abaddon. And he is essentially...
There are no original concepts.
Nope. Definitely not in Warhammer. I mean, Gilliman as a name and him as like a guy, he's a bit unique, but not even, because he's basically just the Emperor, but if the Emperor is just highly focused on his logistics. Because that's the thing about all the Primarchs. They're all one element of the Emperor, i.e., Vulcan is his compassion for humanity.
Yeah.
His power as a Psyker is Magnus the Red, so on, so on, so on. So, this world is getting absolutely dogged by the Black Legion. That's Abaddon's boys. And Belisarius Cawl and his guys more or less show up as a small group is attacking something. They have some of their more powerful units who can't go with them for future, so, like, you know, they're here to help right now and they're going to be gone later, showing up. And they're like, I need to go and see the Lord of Ultramar. Now, anyone else, aside from the leader of the Tech Priest of Mars, who asked this question would be like, get fucked. But it's him talking, and he's like, hey, I supply all you motherfuckers, you're gonna do what I say. Because he literally is. He's like the primary, like, supplier for everything that all of them use, to the point where they're not gonna kill him. Like, even if he does something incredibly mad, he won't kill him, and they won't kill him, and that's very important for the future. So he gets introduced to the guy called Marinus Calgar. He's the... won't need to worry about his name for long. He's the chapter master.
Okay, you might as well just carry on then. You might as well just go, you don't need to worry about who he is. You might as well just carry on.
Yeah, no, like, but it's who he is, and he's the chapter master of them, but he won't be in the story for long, is what I mean. He'll be in the story for right now, but he's going to be gone in a minute. They show up to him, and the Tech Priest shows up, and the Tech Priest has, whilst he does have the people he has the leader of the Grey Knights, who are essentially Space Marine SWAT for Chaos. Like, oh, is that a demon showed up? Alright, send in the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights will come in and handle it. They're exclusively designed for fighting demons, and Abaddon tends to summon a lot of demons, so they were there when they were in the last place that they were fighting Abaddon. And their leader is with them, and he is an absolute beatstick of a monster. Like, these guys are super-powered psychers. They were the Emperor's last solution. Like, the last thing he created before he got put on the throne was literally a, hey, just in case. And here's these guys. And these guys are all so psychically powerful and durable. Not a single one has ever been corrupted to chaos in 10,000 years. And that's a fucking feat, considering half of all Space Marines were at one point turned to chaos. Um, so there's a bunch of mega uber characters from different factions here to be like a thing of, well, there's no way like 5 of these guys would show up and do this. Like, but here's this guy. He's worth 20 of his own fucking people, and he can, bench press a titan. So he'll just fucking run hands with anything that shows up. So they're like, right, you're here now. I'm the Lord of Ultramar. You wanted to speak with me, says Marius Calgar. And he said, no, I'm here for the Lord of Ultramar, not you. And the only other person who's ever worn that title is Rabute Gilliman, who is a Primarch, and he's currently in stasis on the planet, in their most heavily defended and secret location on the planet. Like, if Chaos knew he was there, bear in mind, he is on death's door, basically. He's kept in, like, the moment before death. But if Chaos could find it, all they have to do is break this seal, and they've killed the Primarch.
I think you gave us the short version of this story once before.
I did. No, they're essentially done in like separate styles. Treated as if everything in the fantasy setting is in one world, and Warhammer is galaxies upon universes. Fucking huge. So
they're literally okay. So they are literally I thought it was because they're literally like separate genres as well. So they're not like the same universe. They're literally separate. It's literally fantasy and sci-fi. So it'd be the same as if there was like a bunch of stuff released that was Dungeons and Dragons, and then Dungeons and Dragons Future, and Dungeons and Dragons Future was just like sci-fi. It would be it'd basically be like, it uses the same game mechanics, because you got to remember that this universe is literally just to support the game, which is a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah, the fact that there's so much here as well.
Yeah, which is it's very interesting that they go so far. Like, it's fascinating.
It's been so heavily invested in, and like, again, as much as they do so many shitty card games, which I loathe, they're so protective about that IP being misrepresentative that like they will NDA someone if they're monetizing the Warhammer name in any way, and if they're like doing it inaccurately.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's the only thing they're known for, but it's like, that's it. Like, if you monetize us or you represent it inaccurately, you're gone. Like, we will try to take you out. The only time they won't do that is like if, for example, there was a lot of stuff in 9th edition which was just, hey, we're an extra website that is free of charge, but we have a Patreon if you want to support us with a bunch of assets from it. And they're like, okay, this is allowing more people to play the game. We're kind of okay.
Yeah. Warhammer and shared elements across their universe. The Chaos Guards, but they are different interpretations of the base concept. Also, hi, Frog. It's the same as like Final Fantasy, like, for example. We've talked about We've talked about Final Fantasy a lot in the past, because obviously we're Final Fantasy fans. Every Final Fantasy game is standalone, and except for these small ones where they literally go Final Fantasy X-2, which is literally a sequel to 10, but Final Fantasy 11 is not a sequel to Final Fantasy X. They're all standalone games. However, they reuse the same elements. They use the same, whatever you want to call them, because they're different in every generation. Summons, primals, whatever you want to call them. They're all called something different, but they're always the same. It's always freaking Ifrit, Shiva, Ramu. It's Titan. It's always them. There's always chocobos. There's always tonberries. There's always it's a similar thing. And again, we've made the D&D comparison as well. It's like how there's like every single D&D game is generally, unless the DM chooses to do so, is generally its own universe and its own standalone story.
Yeah.
Which is neat and fun, and one of the favourite things about D&D. Have you ever played D&D, though? I feel like I've talked a lot about D&D around you, but I've never actually asked if you play. Or are you even interested in playing? Get a dialogue.
But I will cut this next section short, because again, you are correct, I have spoken about it before. Belisarius Call runs up with the machine, they cut off his life support so he dies, the elf brings him back whilst they're all being constantly attacked by demons and Black Legion and everything else, and it's going bad, they're getting seasoned on all sides. Gilliman gets up, is a one-man fucking army, and reminds the world how dangerous a Primarch is. And essentially then goes about and bear in mind they had a massive campaign that they were fighting against the Black Legion around everything. Gilliman stamps it out of like the entire sector, like planet wise, in months. Like it takes him months to do, which is emphasized as like a feat to do. Because again, this guy's logistics and strategy. He knows how to get this shit done really well. He's very fucking good at it. So he just stomps this like it's nothing.
I never played
And
D&D,
then-
but I've been interested ever since I started watching a bit of Dimension 20. Woo! Boy, Dimension 20 be good.
Dimension 20 is a wonderful introduction. Wonderful. So, the thing that's really interesting about this is that, of course, it's like, oh, here comes an Uber guy who's here to just, like, stomp everything out and save the day. No, that's not all. Everything that happens in real space affects the warp. It's pretty much just a universe just directly beneath it slightly. So there's ripples, there's echoes. Everyone is very aware that a Primarch just came back. Like, all the Chaos Forces. And some of them are even, like, using this opportunity where they know some of their brothers are slightly distracted to attack their brothers, because, well, that's what they always do. Chaos always fights themselves. It's only when Chaos will ever unite that the worlds will be doomed. So the whole thing is
D&D really won't run the same as D20, but often it's better. Oh yeah, it's always. I'm sure you already know, but it's always recommending. Dimension 20 is a show. At the end of the day, it's not just a raw D&D game. They are they are performers, and also they have the advantages of editing, which is a plus over Critical Role. Critical Role is a lot more raw, but because it is so raw, it's a lot to take in because each episode is like 3 to 4 hours long.
Yeah, very much so. It can really feel like that sometimes. So a bunch of characters in the setting are like, oh shit, Gilliman's back, including his brothers. Because a lot of his brothers that are still active and around, because none of his loyalist brothers are, the traitors are around. And some of them are like, the Angron, for example, is going, this petulant, arrogant, egotistical bastard is back, and I'm going to take his fucking skull, and I will use it to bash in my father's skull. That kind of thing. Magnus is there going, oh, I've got fucking plans now, because Magnus is the smart, he's the nerd, he's the spellcaster. But he's like, I will just lift up this entire tank, take it apart into 6,000 pieces like Magneto, and launch every piece at this entire army like a giant piece of shrapnel, including the munitions. Like, he's nastily powerful as a psyker. Mortarion, who is the one for Nurgle, is like, oh, I don't want to kill him. Killing him will be too easy. I want to prove that he's wrong, and I'm going to make him fall to chaos. I'm going to make him and our father realize he is wrong and make him fall to chaos. Which they're all trying to do, because Gilliman is aware that the Emperor can be contacted, like he can be spoken to, but only when you're literally in the same room as him, and only if you're able to physically withstand his presence, because he's a kind of a psychic nuke right now. The problem is, he is, and that is a fair point, if you need any advice with this, ask the Fluff, or ask the Frog, because Fluff, she is very good for that.
Yeah. This is very basic. It's going to be open mouth, closed mouth. Yeah.
Short, sweet, and to the point. Nothing.
Yeah, because this if I'm lucky, this will never see the light of day, because this is for when things break. I would like things not to break.
It's one of those ones where, if you have another day where you're quiet, you could like, well, let's add some assets to it. Let's make it nicer. But like right now, it's going to stay as the default standard, more or less. Hi, Core.
I like the 3D because, yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
Hello, Core.
So essentially, he's like, I need to go and speak to my father. Problem is, his father's on Terra. He's basically halfway across the galaxy from him right now. It's gonna be difficult to get there, but he begins getting a crusade together, which is always something that happens. And a bunch of the characters who are like, say, not the Eldar, because the Eldar are like, right, we're gonna bounce now. Best of luck. Don't ever come out of that armor, because if you do, you'll die. He basically gets a crusade together, and the human leader of the planet that he's from, Macragge, goes, "Hey, here's a thought, Gilliman. Before you go, let's raise the spirits of everyone in the Imperium by having you have a parade. Like a massive parade down Macragge as an indicator of your power, that you're returned, and we can vox it to every loyalist planet in the entire galaxy." And it's fair to say that there's actually some of the planets that, just on learning that Gilliman, a Primarch, is back, turn loyalist, like actually fight against chaos that was suppressing them in some areas and the like. Which is a lot. Just the fact that he's back, like, gives an indication that things could work out for people. It won't. It's 40k, but they'll try. And that's the important part. They'll try.
Grim, dark, miserable.
Yeah, honestly, like I've seen this before exampled very well, that the Imperial Guard is good Grimdark, but there isn't a lot of good Grimdark. But they're good Grimdark in that way of they're just people. They're people like you and me in all of this, and they're still going around that mindset of, if we all just do our little bit, step by step, our tiny little pieces, we can make a difference. That's the thing. Like, if we can all do our own little bit of good, we can make a difference. That's cool. So Gilliman is like, okay, I fucking hate this because you all worship my dad as a god. My dad was not a god. My dad's a fucking atheist. He did not want this. I am aware he did not want this. I do not want this. But he acknowledges how beneficial this will be. And he has a bunch of people tell him just how much power the church actually has. And they're like, we kind of gotta work with them. Because if they, like, up and do it, the Empire is basically fucked. If they go and do that, it's fucked. So we need to keep them on our good side. So he does, and so on else. And then he gets essentially, you remember like the Greek and Roman kind of like laurel, the golden crown of like leaves that can get put on someone's head.
Yeah.
He gets one of those put on his head, and he begins seeing like the beauty of everything that could be. Like, he gets visions of it, and then he gets visions of other things, other potentials, that maybe if he just did this, it's so easy just to do this, and then he could rule it all. It'll all be his.
Do grim dark.
But here's the thing. It then goes, and what if you just killed the Emperor? And he immediately goes, nope! Grabs the laurel and smashes it against the ground and goes, seize him! Because he was being cursed and enchanted and charmed and fucked with by the laurel. And he went, that motherfucking thing! He eats it immediately, he clocks it. He goes, motherfucker! And then, remember the Grey Knight I mentioned? The superpower anti-demon guy? He just walks up to this, this lord of the planet, touches him, and the illusion just fades. But it fades with like an immense, like nearly an immense, but I can describe it more like an aura of influence nearly like erupts out of him. But the Grey Knight catches it like a bomb that's just exploded, but the shrapnel is in the ball. Like, if that makes sense, the explosion is still within that small radius, and he goes, "No, you literally are doing the exact thing I'm built against," and just goes, and just crushes it, sends it to the warp. Just fuck off. You're not here no more. Out you get. Anyone else in that situation would have had to have died to be able to pull that off, and the Grey Knight just goes, "Nope." Because they're built different. Literally.
Skill issue.
Quite literally with them. And the man turns into a mutant. Because he was actually a demon. Or not a demon, but like someone who was taken over by chaos. And his head and face begin warping into that of Fulgrim, the demon Primarch of Slaanesh, and the man who put Ubute Gilliman in the stasis field by nearly killing him, going, "Hi, brother. Did you like my little present? I hope you did. I have so many more for you waiting." And he's being the little shit brother. The problem is that he is probably one of the most dangerous of them, because he is the most dangerous duelist currently. Well, of the demon ones, he's the most dangerous. 1-to-1, like, he can take on any man in a duel situation, in a fight, right? And it's basically this thing of like, oh, you don't get it. I'm going to do everything I can to corrupt you. I'm not here to kill you. I'm here to fuck with you. which is a lot of what his brothers will be doing, which is why he'll get away with quite a lot of stuff, Will Gilliman, because his brothers either don't want to kill him yet, or they want to like make him watch whatever terrible thing they're going to do, because they want to try and break his will, because, well, they're evil. So he launches his crusade, and he's like, right, let's go. We'll just make our way to Terra, Earth. We'll just go. He continues until Magnus shows up, entirely catching him in an ambush as they jump out, because they can only do so long of a period in the warp, which they use to teleport. They have these Geller fields that they use to protect themselves, but they can only go for so long before the Geller fields basically need to like catch their breath, because they're walking through Satan's front line, and they have like dozens upon hundreds of ships at this point. And there's a lot of them that are from like different Space Marine chapters that were like, wait, hold on, Primarch's back? Holy shit, hold on. And like the loyalist ones are showing up like, oh fuck, it's a Primarch. That's fucking cool. Like, I'll help you out, whatever you need. So they jump out of the warp into real space, and as they do, they immediately start getting shelled, like all their ships do, because there's Magnus the Red, who had somehow predicted that this is exactly where Gilliman would come out. Got a little bit of a foresight thing going on with him there. So
I think I'm gonna head out for now, but I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye, V. Thanks for coming.
Much love, V. You take care.
Hopefully see you on Friday.
And essentially in that way of, no, don't you do it, you little shit kind of thing, Magnus just grabs the entire fleet, and I'm not emphasizing this enough, like, he had a ritual going at the time, like he was building it up for a period here, and he just launches like an immense chunk of the fleet, including Gilliman's stuff, into the warp, just going, best of luck! Like, as if someone was teleporting into a room while someone had the gate spell prepped, but a massive gate spell for everything that he had teleported in to fall straight down into, like, hey, get it up, yeah. Because again, you're not fucking with Magnus when it comes to Psyker stuff. Even the guys who are meant to be anti-demon and anti-all this stuff, you just don't fuck with him unless you can make a null area of psychic energy where just nothing works. Which has its benefits, but also immense negatives. So they get launched to the warp. I'll cut it short, where essentially a bunch of people try to either get in his head, constantly influence his actions, make him feel guilt or rage, and they all get captured at one point by a demon. A very, very competent demon who he's a cool one because he can only see the future and the past. He cannot see the present. So he can tell where you're going to be in 5 seconds. Or, pardon me, I should say this more clearly, because this is how visions of the future and like true sight work, or foresight work in Warhammer. To their credit, is one of my more enjoyed ways of doing it. They don't show the future. There are multiple possibilities of the future. You get to see a few of them. So they can like predict, oh, I know everything that's been because that is set, kind of. And I know everything that is, kind of. Or what is going to be, kind of. So they can be outmatched, they can be tricked. If you're fast enough that they are, and you're like directly fighting them and you're fast enough, you can literally strike them faster than they can see it coming, which some characters can. Because again, it's that thing of they have to see that, they have to scry the future, and then they get to react to you in the present. Not the easiest thing for them to do, especially when some things are blindingly fast. So eventually they break out. They manage to get a bunch of shit in their favor, and they're fighting, and they manage to get to a portal, and this portal will essentially take them to Earth. Like, it'll take them to the moon, because they know full well they do not want to go to Earth immediately, because Magnus is right behind them. He is chasing them. He is there. He knows they're there. And the last thing they want is to let a Psyker who can do all this mad, insane amount of damage onto Earth. Because again, Gilliman can't just stay and fight. His forces are constantly being depleted, ripped apart. He's being tested constantly. I'm skipping over a bunch of shit. But they land on Earth at this portal. And it's a massive crater where this portal is. So Gilliman immediately orders everyone out of the crater so that it just becomes a kill zone. Like anything that's coming out of that portal, kill it. Because Gilliman begins like letting his presence and his aura get like sensed. Because it's a bit weird in that way, and he's having the psychers. He's legitimately having psychers unleash psychic energy at nothing, like a fucking beacon. Because they're so close to Terra, it'll set off like 600 fucking alarms of like something's going on the moon right next to us. Get the fuck over there. And now he knows all he has to do is hold back Magnus. So Magnus's forces begin piling through. Bunch of they're more or less like automatons or some of his guys. But they're all holding through, and a bunch of like really capable psychers are with them. And of the force that they have, 90% of their heads immediately explode as the portal begins shifting color and Magnus steps through. That's him just flexing. And then he waves his hand, and every single one of his guys that he's like with immediately become invulnerable, and like anything that comes close to hitting them just puffs into nothing. Of like it's like it's mass shifted from an highly dangerous explosive round to being just dust or sand or butterflies or fucking bubbles. And he just begins killing people left and right. Gilliman cannot beat this guy. Like, his psychic power is way too fucking good. No hope. But he realizes he has to stall him. So, like a mad bastard, he gets, because again, they're on the moon, so rule of cool shit gets applied here because of low gravity. The guy who's that Grey Knight that I'm mentioning that's done all this cool shit, he's got a titanic hammer, and the guy hits like a fucking truck. Gilliman jumps in the air, tells him to put his hammer against the end of his boot and shove him as hard as he can. Literally to momentum him in like air with gravity with it and just launch him at Magnus. Which he does. It works, and he tackles Magnus into a location. They have brother banter back and forward constantly, and all the while people from Earth are showing up going, what the fuck's going on down here? And then the Sisters of Silence show up. They are one of the last lines of defense on Earth, and they were referred to as nulls. So essentially everything in 40k, psychers are psychic energy is pseudo the soul. Like, more powerful your soul, so on, so on. But some people are like really powerful or like are able to resist it. These things are straight up just vacuums to the void, to like psychic energy, and they're genuinely like, most people, it's like the uncanny valley being next to them of like, it does not feel right to be here kind of thing, you know? Whereas psychers who are around them feel legitimate pain. And a half dozen of them show up and land right next to Gilliman from like dropships that are coming in. The problem is that Magnus's spell comes so close to still hitting Magnus, or it's still hitting Rabute because of how good he is, but it just goes right next to him. And it was meant to be a kill blow. And the narrative literally says if this did not happen, he'd be fucking dead. We are emphasizing this now. Magnus should have killed him. It was the sisters rushing in as fast as they fucking could, and his plot armor that saved the day. So the sisters help him, and he still is kicking the shit out of Gilliman. Because again, Gilliman is not the duelist, he is the logistics guy. He's still really strong because he's a Primarch, but it's not his main song and dance. They manage to get him into the portal and to get super shut closed and done. And then Gilliman gets to go to Earth. And it ends with Gilliman approaching the throne alone and entering the room alone with his father. Because there's an entire section of this which is just one short story, which is just the Emperor's discussions with Gilliman. Aside from the custodian guards, which are like his mega super elites, which could probably kill Gilliman if like 6 of them jumped him, because that's how fucking nasty they are. They're the only things that are even allowed in here, and they're only the guys who've like, okay, you've served the custodians for 500 years, okay, you can work in the throne room. Like, you have tested yourself and your medal for 500 years, you get to go here. And that's where it ended, and I'm just like, I want a fucking Gilliman model now. I want to fucking paint this guy, because he's fucking cool.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. Oh, there was another character I've like listened to some stuff on, and I'm like, oh, this is how people get caught with this faction, the motherfuckers. I'm not going to go into him, but essentially it's a bunch of mecha Gundams, essentially is their primary form of fighting. And one of their leaders is again, he rides around in a Mecha Gundam kind of thing, and he looks super fucking cool. And he's pretty much one of those guys, like, their faction is, oh, we work for the greater good by any means necessary, but the greater good is our legitimate intention, and they truly seem to believe it. This guy looked at their methods and went, your methods are shit. And you keep trying to fuck, yeah, the Tau. There you go, Core. The Tau are their name.
Right, yes. I at least know the name Tau.
Yeah. And he's like, you know what? Fuck the lot of you. I'm gonna do my own thing. And he's legitimately been doing very well with it. Like, it's not even like preluded to that he's being like sussy or he's being like manipulative or anything. It's like, no, legitimately the worlds under his command in the Far Reach Enclaves are doing amazing. And his progenitors, the elders, are fucking hating him for it. They're like, how dare you do what we do better? Which has pretty much been this guy's entire narrative of, how dare you do what I do better? I'm going to make you suffer. And then he proceeds to outshine whoever said that to him. Repeat. But he's currently being tempted by Korn. Because Korn really likes this guy, because he's a really good fighter. But not like just, oh, he's just a beatstick. No, he's like intelligent, he's clever, like he's got great tactics. Korn really digs this guy's vibe. Like Korn walked into this guy's shop and said, I love what you did with the place. He didn't figure out, no, Korn, no one's figured out what the elders actually are. What they figured out what the elders do is that the elders, like, more or less are either through some sort of trickery or some other manipulative machinations are controlling the Tau and everything that's in the Tau enclave, basically, which is including some humans, which is really nasty. Like, that implies that humans are willing to work against the emperor. But the Tau are like, oh no, you can still worship the emperor, but you'll just work towards the greater good. Which, it's one of those ones of, it's very tempting, but considering they're willing to capture and attempt to psychically fuck up a space marine for months to try and get him to, like, basically to understand him, they like captured him and tried to get in his head for months. And they were psychically getting in his mind, they were like trying to mess with it, like they were all affecting his brain. And there was like 20 of them in the room, and every time all he would say was, this is my name, I am the Sergeant of the Raven Guard, and you will not break my will. Until like enough of them were like all pushing in, and he went, I know what my duty is. He caused both of his hearts to immediately, because he's a spaceman, he's got two hearts, to induce cardiac arrest, and caused such a like mental backlash as he did. He killed the 20, and then he died. But he was like, haha, get fucked. I took out 20 of you. Ugh, space marines are fucking dumb. I love them. I'm so excited for Friday, and I'm so excited for Saturday because I get to play against orcs on Friday, and I get to paint models on Saturday.
Ooh, always fun.
Yeah. It's my friend who I played with a few times. I think I've said this before, but not on stream. I played against her a few times, and she's got an orc army she's wanting to bring, and I'm preparing Bruti here for it because she has a stand-in for a model she really likes, for one of the really cool orc models, and I'm like, yeah, you can bring him, it's fine, it's 100%, I've got no bother with it. And it's basically because I want to run Broody at him. I just want the two big guys to run and start swinging at each other and see what happens. It'll probably be hilarious, but also he'll probably die really quickly. Let's see now. What do I want to do next? I guess I could do some touch-ups of my metal. Let's do touch-ups of my metals first, and then we'll move on to refining and shading some of this stuff, because I'm actually kind of not against where I am with this. It's that other thing of, you have to like stop and look around the model and go, this is where I missed it, this is where I missed it, and so on. Especially I find It's very good to do that when you stop and you're about to go and move on to something else. That's when you stop and look and go, wait, let me move around with a paint that I can't use and see if I can spot anything that's standing out, and then you'll just see it, you know?
Yeah.
That kind of jazz. Those Tau guys actually, like, they try to like diplomacy first with everything. But it's really funny what happened to them with the orcs, because they essentially had a emissary more or less study the orc language, dialect, styles for months. Like, he knows how to speak like an orc perfectly, which is hilarious for a fine and dignified, oh, you fucking watchmates, don't worry, I am one of your breach, and we can discuss things together. I'll crump you, I will. Mm-hmm. It's fucking stupid. It's hilarious. But essentially he's like, oh, we will offer you all these great things from the Tau, and like they offer them guns and they offer them teeth, which is what the orcs use for currency. Don't ask them how they got the orc teeth. Don't ask them how they got the orc teeth. But they try to like negotiate with the orcs, and the orcs go, wow, you got a lot of cool shit, and like the orcs are holding the guns that they've offered to them as a gift. Thank you. Kill them all. And they just start killing the Tau. So now they're like, yeah, no, just don't try to deal with the orcs. Just kill them. The orcs, the Tyranids, and Space Marines, exclusively Space Marines, because Space Marines will not play ball by the Tau's thing of, oh, just reject the Imperium. It's like, reject the Emperor, reject Granddad. I'm gonna fucking have you. What do you want? The other thing about that guy I was listening to, who was doing the Buddha Gilliman novels as well, was he speaks in like a very like dignified British older man voice. It's just so easy to listen to him, especially because he does good editing with like good visuals in the background of like artwork from the narration, or artwork from the books, or relative artwork from fan arts with credits at the bottom of the page, of the screen on the bottom right. Like, he'll credit some of the
Always
artists.
important.
Yes, but he'll do that only for like fan art. Like, if it's canon art, it's like, oh fuck, you can't pay enough. And I'm like, fair. So he does credit some of them to his credit. He does try his best, because he's aware of the importance of it. He's not a fool, and I really appreciate that about him. He's just so easy to listen to. He's one of the guys that really got me into 40k initially, because he just talks like so enthusiastically about the actual like fun of playing the game, and it's like, oh, I remember using these miniatures and how much fun I had, and he'll talk about it, and you're just like sat there fucking engrossed, like you're getting a granddad's old tale kind of thing. Yeah, very much so. Like, yeah, it's just like you're just fucking infectious. Can't help it. Yeah, I fucking absolutely enjoy any of his content, but
yeah,
he's often posted up.
I'm a fan of audiobooks.
Yeah. Any new ones?
Not new ones, but I've been re-listening, as I often do. As I've said before on stream, of like, I consume them at a rapid pace generally. If I'm not streaming, I've probably got an audiobook on, if I've not got like a stream on. And to be fair, in the mornings, because, you know, in the mornings, if I'm not doing a stream, there's not really anybody else streaming, so it's audiobook time. So I'm re-listening to now book 4 of the Temeraire series. Great series, would recommend. It's on Audible, if anybody has Audible. It's about dragons, and it's great.
Imagine why you're interested in that.
Yeah. A more accurate summary is it's set during the Napoleonic War of England versus France, during Napoleon trying to obviously basically take over the world, except along with having the military and the navy, there is also the aerial corps, which is dragons, so it is a dragon military novel, alternate history kind of thing, and it's great. It's a great series, and I recommend it to anybody. And yeah, as I said, it's on Audible. It is on Audible, and it's wonderful. I love it. I've listened to it so many times. Simon Vance is a great narrator, and yeah, would recommend. And there's a lot of good world building in that series as well. Naomi Novik puts a lot of thought into how things function and how society views dragons, and book 2 especially when they go to China, and the characters are faced with how different countries treat dragons, and yeah, it's very interesting. And unsurprisingly, I'm very interested in all the different species, because even, it's just one person. I assume sometimes multiple authors will work under one name sometimes, but I've never checked. But there's like multiple species of dragon, and she's put like a lot of thought into like even their biology in that universe, and things like crossbreeds and things like that. And so there's like the British breeds and the Chinese breeds and the French breeds, and there's just different breeds of dragons that are bred to do different things, because obviously that's what people do.
A fair question. Are these dragons the kind of... Are these more like animalistic style dragons? Or are these like Game of Thrones? Or are these more intelligent dragons?
Oh no, they're intelligent, and that is also a reoccurring theme within the series, which is that aviators essentially bond with their dragon at hatching, but dragons are sentient and fully capable of speech and rational thought and stuff. They are sentient beings, but that information is generally kind of just basically ignored or not known by other people, which is frustrating for a lot of aviators. So like aviators will go to Parliament and say like, we need funding to give our dragons like comfortable places to sleep, and they'll be like, nonsense, they can sleep on the ground like the horses. And they're like, they're not horses, they have feelings. And they're like, oh, you're just being wishy-washy because you love your pets. And it's like, they're not pets, they're people. And it's like a really reoccurring theme in the book, which again is interesting. Which is another thing of when they go to China, and China really respect dragons, and it's like, oh, society is fully integrated with dragons over here, which causes the British dragon, the main character Temeraire, to then get very annoyed, because he's like, see, it is possible. You said it would be impossible to change people's minds, but it can be done. People are just lazy. And his captain is like, I 100% agree with you. People are lazy. My eyes have been opened. We need to go back to England and change their mind. And it's a great series, and you should read it / listen to it.
Because see, that's where I was going to ask you was, essentially, I know that in a lot of media, dragons tend to be not only intelligent, but egotistical. I don't imagine like a lot of like sentient, intelligent dragons liking being told, you're a pet, you're a mount. Like, of course, the riders have a connection, but like, I'm very surprised if there isn't like more of a thing of like dragons going, actually, fuck all of you.
Have you heard anything from Pern? Yes, I do like the Pern books as well. Yeah, it's another one of those things of like, yeah, and it even gets explained to Temeraire a lot in the first book, because obviously the first book, Temeraire, is about Temeraire being hatched and harnessed and goes into military service. And it is explained to him by his handler, Lawrence, who's in fact a Navy man. And yeah, it offers this interesting perspective, because Lawrence, at the very start of the series, being a Navy man, is a lot like the rest of the British public, in that he's just like, well, dragons are, he likes them. He's like, dragons are very, important for the country. He's very loyal to Britain and the crown. So he's like, you've got to do your duty. That's why he steps up to harness Temeraire, because he's like, it's important that we harness baby dragons, otherwise they go feral, and we can't use them for military purposes. And then as he bonds with Temeraire and learns to be an aviator, he's like, oh, dragons are capable of speech, they are capable of learning things. Oh, Temeraire's interested in reading? Okay, I didn't think a dragon...
Music and the arts?
Yeah, it's like, I didn't think a dragon could read, and then it's one of those things where they eventually learn that Temeraire is a Chinese breed, because Navy and things, where they found his egg, it's this whole thing. Read the book. I'm not going to tell you everything. So Lawrence and even the British aviators at some point are like, oh, your dragon is a funny one, he likes reading, that's so silly. And then they go to China, and China's like, no, reading is normal because dragons are people and people can read. No, reading is a normal thing. You don't teach your dragons to read. What kind of backwards country are you?
The Chinese are like, hey guys, the British make their dragons illiterate. What a bunch of assholes!
Basically, yeah. In the second book, when they go to China, a lot of the reoccurring themes is basically a lot of the Chinese, like, political people, literally, not even hyperbolic, calling Lawrence a barbarian. And every time they're like, you English are barbarians, and the way you treat your dragons is barbaric, and blah 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 blah. And every time Lawrence is like really annoyed because he like comes over from England fully prepared to be just like, no, we treat our dragons well, and then he arrives in China and he's like, shit. You give your dragons wages and you let them buy things like property. Oh no.
Oh my god,
no.
I'm sorry. I just had the notion of a dragon landlord.
Yeah.
So just a standard landlord.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, and they come back to England, and when they're telling people, they're like, oh no, it's impossible. How do they get anything done? How do they use horses? You know, my horses run a mile whenever the wind even vaguely blows from the direction of the dragon coverts, and they're just like, they don't need to use horses, because dragons are integrated into society. Because the dragon breed sizes literally range from the size of a horse to the size of a triple floor building. So they're just like, they just have little dragons that do the jobs of horses, but they do them better because they can fly and they can talk. So they, instead of having to try to wrangle horses, you just go up to the dragon and say, can you courier this message for me? Here's 300 yen. And they go, yes, I'll get that right on it. And off they fly. And it's like, wow.
Sorry, this is very funny to me because it's just like, not only is your driver a dragon, your driver is also the taxi.
Yes.
That is hilarious to me in many ways.
Yes, they have specially made like taxi harnesses so that larger dragons can carry larger people, so they essentially have dragon buses.
Ah.
And again, it's set in Napoleonic times, so like cars aren't a thing. So it would have been a horse-drawn carriage, which is what is used in London when they go back to England.
Right, I get you.
Yeah. So that's why it's like, we'll use a dragon courier, things like that. So yeah, it's a great series. And even just again, I've listened 1 through 4. There's loads more, and I'm going to be picking up the other ones on Audible. But I've re-listened to 1 through 4 multiple times. They're great, and yeah, the biology of the dragons, needless to say, is one of my favourite bits, where they go on about the logistics of the fire-breathing dragons, what little of them they are. Actually, it's a very rare trait. But there's also things like acid spitters. There's water spouting dragons, and then there's another kind, which again I'm not going to tell you because you should read the book and learn.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at what you're talking about, I promise. I'm just putting my model together. And because of the way his arms are, most of these models are meant to be like, the arms are like in a low bowing pose of like, I will strike you down, tiny thing. Hang on, let me get my phone. I'm going to post this into the art chat. He's not finished yet, but like he's at his he's getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've just put the arms in now just to see what he looks like, because now I can put on fine detail, because the rest of this isn't going to get seen. You know when someone grabs a crab?
What?
And it's angry? Okay, hang on a sec. This is going to go into the art channel on Blue's Discord. Enjoy that. Jesus wants a hug!
It is a little bit, yeah, it is a little bit like an angry crab. That's very silly.
Oh, it's so silly, I love it. Oh, wait, hang on, this actually looks cool. Hang on a sec. I'll show you what he looks like on the base. Because I might actually spend a bit of tomorrow, or actually I might just paint his base in liquid green stuff tonight. Because then I can do some funny stuff with the base and prime it, paint it in like a lava kind of color. Because again, these are salamanders, they're all about that. he actually looks a bit menacing for this angle, because when he's in this position, it's like he's looming down over something. So just a moment there now, and I'll just... Yeah, this looks like he's looming down to be like, I'm gonna fuck you up. Oh god, no, I just realized what it also looks like. Ooh, a penny! Oh, Brucey, I love you. Alright, I'll come to your legs for a second. Can I take your arms back out? Yes, I can. They pop out relatively easy. I say that.
Now I'm home, I'm gonna go cry at Guild Wars some more. Woo! The squad is going through it! Guild Wars squad is going through it. I almost felt bad, but obviously you had work, because maybe about half an hour after you left last night, Core had to do the story bit that I told you about going into the dragon, so you missed like being able to watch it, because we all went and did it as a group. So I was just, Core was like, I'm gonna go do this story bit if you guys want to join in. I was like, let me suffer once more. I'm gonna take screenshots this time.
So just like how we all are in Final Fantasy, when it's like,
literally,
hey guys, we're gonna go do the vault. It's like, not alone you aren't, motherfucker. Let's go.
I'm coming with you, boys.
Right.
And it was nice because when I got to we got to rewatch the cutscene, and it does let you rewatch it with your character rather than the person whose instance it is. So I was like, yeah, I get to watch all this again. Hammers the screenshot button.
It's always good when a game lets you do that. Right. Let's take the big brush.
Crying out all the fetch quests I have to do to get my flat boy. Grinding, crying. Yes, I am also doing that. Because now both me and Core have finished the main story, it's like, time to grind! Yeah. If you can get yourself caught up in a meta train like we did yesterday, Core, then that's like the best way that you can do it. Because you need to do you need to complete 10 events in each zone in order to unlock one part of it, which I still need to do as well. So if there's a train, just get swept up in it, find a commander on the map, and follow them. Easily the best thing you can do.
Okay. I have put a bunch of liquid green stuff on the space. Essentially, it's the same as like standard green stuff that you would take and you rub together. But it's in liquid form, so it'll dry quickly, and don't get it on anything you don't want to have to scrape it off of.
Yes.
But quite like it, because essentially what I can do with this now, I can cut into it very slightly, not my base, and just like give a few scrapes into it and give it like a feel of, oh, there's a bit of texture to it, and then I might even paint over a little bit with the technical dunes that I have, and then add on the marks for like lava going through it, because real cool.
I need 1 to 2 events in each zone and I'll be able to get the medicines. Nice. I'm guessing you did a bunch more after I went to bed last night, because I don't think I think there's like one zone that I haven't even done 1 event in, so I need to do the full 10. So yeah, that'll be just like if I'm gonna say again, as I always say on these streams, like if I get time, looks at my calendar, I'm not gonna get time. Yeah, because I like to do the story on the stream, so I'll be back at doing story on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm half not playing FF right now for the sole reason of, like, I'll wait for when Curls and Co are all going, oh my god, the next trailer's coming out, or the trailer for the next expansion will be coming out in like 3 weeks or something like that. It's coming out next week, and I'll be like, through it.
I had the email come from Final Fantasy to be like, hey, we're going to be renewing your subscription in a couple of days, and I actually went, you know what, no, actually, don't bother, because I was like, I'm well on Guild Wars hype train at the moment. There aren't any announcements for like a new expansion or even a new patch, which means there aren't going to be any events, so I'm not going to want to play for the events. And I was just like, no, nah, just leave it, because also, 16 comes out this week. Everyone's going to be playing that. No one's going to blame.
Is 16 exclusively on PS5?
I believe so. Yes, yes, it's a PS5 exclusive.
And
I'm gonna watch Jesse's playthrough.
I'll probably end up having to because I don't want. Because as much as I do want to get Spider-Man 2, as much as I do want to play Final Fantasy 16, I'm looking at it going, do I need to buy a PS5 for 2 games? Like, that's
so much money. It's so much money.
Like, again, if God of War was released on the next edition, like, console, or they were like, yeah, we're going to do the Spider-Man on it, we're going to do this on it, we're going to do all these, and I'd probably looked at it initially and got, I'll just get a PS5 because I can run these older games on them and all these other things. I was like, I don't need to, it's fine, and everything else. And
yeah. Yeah, you can watch somebody's playthrough, goggle at how amazing it is because Yoshi P and Yoshi P and Soken, I have no doubt in my mind. And then 2 years can pass. You can happily forget the majority of it. It will get ported to PC. You can play it again.
Blue, this is me we're talking about here. I'll forget it after a week.
Well, there you go then. Even better. So it's not even a problem. You just forget it. It comes out on PC, and you go, "Oh shit! I've forgotten all the stuff. I get to experience it. Yay!" And I didn't have to buy a fucking PS5.
Very much so. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm going around because there's a bunch of cool little like light. I'm not just gonna call them light bulbs. Essentially, like kind of like lights and floodlights and the like in this guy's like torso area, like just little like light up points and sections and such. And I'm just going around that bitch, just going, you're gonna be red, and this one's gonna be yellow, and this one's gonna be this. Let's see. Now we're literally just getting the tiny little nooks where paint is overlapping, just covering up all the tiny stuff. I think tomorrow I will heavily be dedicating myself to making sure I am going over all the extra details I want to do and doing some nice shading, I think.
Nice.
There's a lot of the guns I do want to like I'll need to look it up, but there's a particular like pattern of different ones I have, and I just need to know the process of which is on first kind of thing for the dry painting of it.
Mm-hmm.
And going from there with it. I did find out the hard way, though. I did make a slight mistake with this model.
Mm-hmm.
So I've shown you the sarcophagus that's in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to have a window at the top of it, where basically like where that thing comes down, it's meant to have a little window in there. That's basically the dreadnought, the guy that's in the dreadnought looking out it. I
Right.
put it on upside down.
Oh, whoops.
So currently, it's like when I open up the actual model, it looks like he's looking out from the thing beneath him. Like, what's going on out here? Why is it so dark? But
Who turned off all the lights?
brother, I am blind here. But we'll just we'll do what we can for sure. No harm. I'm also not that fussed if like he can't, because I'm like, I'll just say every time he misses a shot, it's because he's upside down. Which again, the beauty of Silly Warhammer. It's like, how did your dreadnought, who was meant to be this elite, injured space marine, miss his shot? Oh, he's upside down. He just gets aimed in the vague direction of you guys, and he just starts swinging.
The area you're in is just a party area, very fun to just run around and do events in. Yeah, there was so much happening when we were there, and it literally just runs through. It was very funny the first time when we were there in the map reset, and we were like, oh, what's happening? Oh, okay. And then you wait 5 minutes, and it all starts back up again. Great place to grind Path of Fire XP for masteries, which you'll need to for Sky Scale. So even when you've unlocked the dragon, you'll be like, I can finally leave this place, and it's like, actually, this is like the best place for you to level up.
Well, that's coming out very nice. I'm using a very fine brush because essentially there's like a bit of script, and not a bit of script, but there's a bit of paper, essentially meant to look like a bit of paper on a plaque that's on this guy, and I've managed to get it on very tightly onto this what will be a script. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the word Ruti on a tiny thin bit of white across it, like very
Nice.
thinly done. And it's just going to be, because most of these are things like Dominos, Exterminus, Imperius kind of thing. I'm just going to go Ruti. Also, I know I mentioned it to you while you were on the stream with the Spooky Bookle, but they released the point system for what they're doing for 10th edition, and there's been a lot of backlash about it.
Really? Backlash?
Yeah, so essentially what they're doing is, depending on how much, all units will now have, if they're a multi-model unit, so i.e. 5 guys to up to 10 guys, they'll have like a points next to them for the 5 guy thing and then the 10 guy thing, which is, you're bringing 5 Marines, that's 90 points. These are out of 1,000 or 2,000, so that's to give you an idea. If you want to bring 10 of them, it's 180. However, if you want to bring 6 Marines, you're going to pay the 10 cost no matter what. So it's kind of stopping people from just going, I'm going to bring 3 of these extra Marines in this unit to help balance out this thing, or I'm going to bring in these odd numbers of these things to make this better, which I get because it makes a lot of people's, because essentially if you're like me and you buy the boxes, you have like 5s, 10s, and so on. but the points don't really ever work out to being super equal to what would like be 2,000 points. So someone who's got a bunch of things, like, I'm gonna optimize this thing, have 9 of these guys, 7 of those, 4 of these, and so on and so on. It's just, well, now you're just min-maxing, which sucks. Like, I get it for professional play, I fully do, but it should be min-maxing. So now there's a lot of backlash because people are like, well, this is shit because I want to bring 6 of these guys, but I can't now. There is a fair bit of like fair backlash to it, shall we say? Like, there's one particular army where their units were like a lot of their models were sold in groups of 7 or 3s because that's the chaos god they worship's favorite number. So those guys now it's like, ooh, the packs you guys get are now really ineffective for you. Yikes! And that's a fault. That's a fault on GW's part more than anything else. And I hope they like re-release a bunch of these. And be like, we're gonna up these to being 5, or we're gonna update these to being 10 because we're aware we're not trying to be assholes. I doubt they will. What did I? Ah, that's what I was doing. I was looking at this model going, why the fuck did I pour out more gold paint? I did this for a reason. I don't remember the reason. I ended up having a few studs on the front of this guy's armor being golden. So I was like, what if I just make a few more of these golden, and then there's just going to be like nice little golden highlights across the model. Also, Blue, fair thing to say, because Thane, like, I did write a poem as Thane, basically, like, you know, like, that's him doing it, more or less.
Yeah.
Because I know Blue, Blue, Tala will never read it. Do you actually want to read it yourself?
Yeah, I'll read it out of character.
Yeah. I'll send it across to you there in a little bit. It's basically what Thane wrote the night, the first night that everyone was resting. Like, as we were traveling. One of those ones where I'm like, yeah, Tala's probably not going to read this. May as well just fucking send it your way.
Yeah, yeah.
It would take a lot of circumstances for Tala to read that. more paint. I'm opening up one part of you. I want the fucking neck piece of you to stay on the fucking dick.
They're going through it. They're fine.
Fucking. That's what I thought, paint. Yeah, I showed you an inanimate object.
Do some line waiting.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if I can do Juuuuuust. See if I can spell it out without causing a fucking issue. This is also fun because this is me, who's notoriously good at spelling. They say not being good at any form of handwriting.
Relatable.
That's really not good. I'm not happy with that at all. I don't think I'll do that one right because I just don't have the. It's weird. Like I have decent hand-eye coordination with quite a lot. Not when it comes to writing.
I get you.
Ooh. Yeah. Let's see how this will look. No, no, not yet. I have to do my shading first. I have to do all my shading first. Then I can do my technicals, and then I can add on my transfers.
Mm.
Because I was about to get very excited and try blood for the blood god, which is a very particular technical which has the texture of blood, but in the way that it's meant to be depicted in art, not in the way that it is in real life. Ergo, not coagulated.
Right.
What's chat up to tonight, guys? What y'all doing?
It's very chill right now. We're in the chill times, which always happens.
Mhm. Time is it? Ah, it's already.
Yeah. 20 past 10. Last 40 minutes, half hour, that's always when it gets the quietest.
Yeah, it goes Amamir. Goes to sleep. Actually, Blue, I'll tell you about this one here because you'll probably get a giggle out of it because
Mm.
it is another 40k thing, but it's one with the orcs, which is always good because they're a bunch of idiots and we all love those fucking morons. They're the only race that truly enjoys being in the 40k universe because they get to fight a lot and they fucking love it. So there was a human called Commissar Yarrick. I think I've referenced him before. Basically, he is the anti-orc guy. He is very, 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 very fucking good at fighting orcs. He is as ruthless as them, and a lot of the time, people will say that he's actually stronger as a person physically, and like through reputation because orcs believe he is. Like he got a laser eye attached after he had or no, he had his arm removed, like ripped off by an orc. So he put on an orc arm in replacement, like he put one of their big like clawy hands on, and
Mm.
it worked for him because the orcs think it should. They think that he has like a deadly like he glares at you and you die kind of thing. So he had one of his eyes replaced with a laser, legitimately. Now he can kill people by looking at them because the orcs believed it, because there were so many of them that believed this. However, there was another orc who fully also agreed with this mantra, the only orc who's ever beaten him, called Gazkul Thraka, his full name being Gazkul Mad Uruk Thraka, which, by the way, if you like Mag Uruk Thraka, Margaret Thatcher.
Oh no.
Like, did they refer to an orc who looks like a boar as Margaret Thatcher? Potentially. Am I in love with Games Workshop so much more if they did? Yes. Uh, if they did, it was fucking hilarious. But essentially, this orc, they capture this human. They have him dead to rights. And they're like, they're all jeering at him on the ship, and he's just like, he's literally just waiting, like, all right, which one's going to try and come and kill me first? Because they will. But instead, he gets led away. And he's confused. He gets led to this orc, Gazkul, who is in a massive hangar bay alone. He orders all the other orcs to leave, which is really difficult for him to do because so many of them want to see these two fight and kill each other. Because that's what even Yarrick's like, right? He's brought me here to kill me in front of everyone on a spectacle. Fuck. Bear in mind, Gazkul is an orc who's fought so much. He's gotten literally huge. Like, he's like, 10 meters tall. He's a giant. Like, that's not hyperbole. He's a fucking giant with all the armor he has on and all the big guns and everything else. And he steps out of the way, and there's a small craft that Yarrick can pilot. And he just looks at it, says, "Get in." And Yarrick is like, "What the fuck? Why the fuck are you doing this?" And Gazkul looks at him and says, "Good enemies are hard to come by." Like,
Wow.
bear in mind, the same icon that orcs use to describe their best friend is the same one they use to describe their nemesis. Like, when it comes to orc signage, basically, on stuff. But Yarrick is 99% certainly dead in the current setting because Angron killed him. Remember I mentioned him before, that big angry guy? Angry Ron?
Right.
He's the one that looks like a pit fiend. Essentially, Yarrick was reported KI or MIA because he's not referred to as KIA because he was that important a character to the Imperium that they're not willing to like risk the fact of he's dead, about how much of a fucking heartbreak to the Imperium's morale that would be. However, on Angron's body, there is now a new skull, which looks decisively similar to the style of skull that Yarrick had, in the way that he has a red eye directly where it was. Or no other previous artwork of him had it, and his model has it as well. So it's one of those things of you're saying it without saying it, basically.
Yeah.
The problem with this is there was only one creature in the entire 41st millennium that was going to be allowed to kill Commissar Yarrick. Mad Uruk Gazkul Thraka. And Gazkul has been made aware that Yarrick is dead and that this bastard killed him. So, previously, he had an immense Waaagh that was just rampaging across like the space that was around the world of Armageddon, which he was set on. He stopped the Waaagh and turned it around. and is currently on his way to the last known location of Angron. This is straight up nobody kills him but me, you son of a bitch, in the 41st millennium. And there's a lot of people who are really excited for this out of canon, because it's like, oh shit, Gazco fighting like Angron. Like, he's one of the very few characters in the setting that you could look at and go, he might have a shot of actually like killing him and banishing him to the warp, which Angron will only go back to for 8 days, for 8 weeks, 8 days, 8 hours, 8 minutes, and 8 seconds, because that's Gorn's favorite number. But in canon, there's a lot of characters who seemingly made effort to prevent Gazgul from knowing this, because Gazgul's power is half built on his reputation by other orcs. Like, oh, he's the hardest orc that's ever lived. He's fought Yarok to a standstill, and Yarok can kill any orc. Like, he's the only orc who beats this guy to a standstill. So everyone's really concerned about how powerful he'll become by orc standards, by like universe standards, if he beats Angron in a fight. Because again, there's enough things in the setting that could show up to try and kill Angron at the same moment that would result in Angron being banished. Because the one advantage about Demon Princes is that they can be killed relatively frequently, because they'll just come back. They're demons. They go back to the warp, they recover, and they come back. And there's a lot of people really concerned that Gaz might straight up fucking evolve off of this into a Krork, which is essentially what the orc race that is right now devolved from. Like, they were these immense, intelligent, dangerous, powerful guys who just turned to a bunch of cockney gits who like to fight. So everyone is terrified. It's like, ha 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 ha. No one let this happen. Under any circumstances, no one let this fucking happen. The other currently running thing that's kind of happening in that same vein of haha, don't fucking let him find out, is I've mentioned him before, but one of the Primarchs has returned. His name is the Lion. He's Lionel Johnson. He's come back, and he is a fucking nightmare for anyone, because essentially there's an entire group of people called the Inquisition. Their whole thing is stopping people who aren't meant to know about something from knowing about something. Like, you don't know, you gotta die, you gotta go in the forever box kind of thing. Lionel Johnson was that guy back when in the Horus Heresy. He was in that guy back when it was way worse and way harder to be that guy. Like, he always knew what all of his people were planning. He was always spying on people. He was an immensely capable espionage person. So everyone is fucking terrified of him finding out that the Inquisition exists and has been trying to actively intervene with the powers of Guilliman returning. And because Gilliman's trying to like get things organized again, because he's one of the few people who exist that the Inquisition say, oh, we're serving the Emperor, you have to do exactly what we say. Gilliman goes, that's my dad. No, I call the shots here. And they can't do fucking anything to him, because number one, if they did, that's one way to have a fucking galaxy-wide rebellion, and number two, you couldn't kill a bastard if you wanted to. He's a fucking Primarch. So it's this interesting development of, do not let this guy know what we're trying to do, because if he finds out what we do, he's going to look at us, and that's going to be a problem. Because the Lion is scary, because he's not just like, oh, I'll just fly a ship towards you guys. He can teleport. He'll hop through the warp, self-teleporting him and like a small handful of people. He's only learning about the skill now. He's only gotten it on his way back, and he's trying to figure it out still. And he's been able to move like a small company of people across a place with him. He can very well just like the fucking like nothing personnel kid appear behind someone and just go, so what were you intending to do with my brother? What were you trying to do? You always like information. Start talking. I'm all ears. This is the man who created Space Marine Inquisitors. This is the man who developed those tactics, who could get information out of demons. It's like, oh, he can make a motherfucker talk. If he gets his hands on one of these guys, oh, there is so much about to go wrong for the Imperium, because he's not afraid from looking at it going, this needs a mass change. Because Gilliman has the sense of looking at the logistics and going, if I do this, so much of the Imperium's going to fall apart. So much of it. But the Lion is not a meathead. He will just appear next to each member of like the order of people who run Terra and just go, so, do you know what this is yet? This is replacing management. And he will just proceed to go around culling them and putting people that he has indoctrinated, because again, this is 40k, he is quote unquote a good guy, but that means he uses bad tools very well. He's also the leader of the First Legion. He was the First Legion that the Emperor made, so he has a lot of bragging rights on that. And it's this thing of, oh, you're fucking terrifying, and you will continue to do so to all these people. None of them want him to find out what they've been doing because he will just make them redacted. He will make them induce no life. They will be just gone, removed from the setting. And there's nothing any of them could do if he decides to turn their eye. So they're all terrifiedly just like, don't look at us, 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 don't look at us. And he's just like going around fighting demons right now. Fucking, I hope none of their machinations ever get found by him for their sake, because he's just gonna run amok. It's not funny though if he did. I really want it to happen. I really wanted it to happen. It is literally like a worst case nightmare scenario for the Inquisition in the best way. Because Gilliman he's a Primarch, which means he's hyper intelligent. So he's not exactly a fool in and of his own right. And he's like, okay, well look, there's been no doubt a lot of information because I get it, of course. There's been so much war and conflict. It's been so difficult to write it all down. Let's get people around the galaxies to collect information from different worlds so that we may expand our own knowledge. Because that's what you're meant to do. Like, you're meant to better yourselves. You better yourselves. We're not stagnating. We're developing and we're pushing forward. Because there's been a distinct lack of development and it doesn't make sense to Gilliman. So he's sending people out to find this information. And these people are just disappearing. Like, going quiet, disappearing. And it's the Inquisition shutting them up. Like, yes, they're also dying to other things at times, but the Inquisition's doing 90% of it. And there's currently, like, a slight dream of if the Lion finds out about this, it's like, okay, I'm going to go deal with the Tyranids. When I come back, I'm going to come and deal with you. So I advise you disband this foolish notion before I come back, because if I come back and you're still here, I will disband you from your limbs. Because, again, the Lion is a fucking sociopath. He does not fuck around. He is a scary bitch. Like, his own men were so terrified of him because of like how he acts and how he's like always. He made his own legion very paranoid because he was so good at his job. Like, he made them like always like try to keep an eye on things and like watch out for the shady dealings in the world, to the point where none of them felt safe talking to him. So he actively invited them all to a meeting, like all of his leaders to a meeting. And they were all waiting for him to arrive in the throne room. He didn't show up, so they just began having a meeting, and they were all suggesting, like, well, this is what I think he should do. This is what I think he should do. And then he appears. Like, he just he just, like, stops being invisible on the chair in the middle of the room, because it's the only way he can get his people to talk to details about him, because they're all too terrified to talk to him. Which, honestly, just makes him very sad. He's like, come on, guys. I wouldn't do this with you. You realize that, right? And everyone's like, you do it to your brothers, so we're kind of hesitant. But currently in 40k, with all the bugs on the way, they're basically appeared out of nowhere behind all the lines of battle that have been set up across the galaxy, and now they're frantically rushing towards Terra, Earth, because the Emperor is there. And the Emperor is a psychic beacon for like telepaths and people who run the ships to be able to get back to Terra with. Like, everyone can see him. He is literally a lighthouse in the galaxy. The problem with that, and the Nids can see him, because he is a psychic lighthouse, and they're all going, I want a piece of that pie. So they are rushing to Terra. And when the Nids first began like killing and taking the biomass of Space Marines, they had a bunch of more powerful, dangerous Tyranids come out of that form. Like a lot of the more dangerous, capable melee ones showed up from it. And a lot of people got very scared because they're like, haha, we have two Primarchs running around right now. Ha ha ha. Let's no, you guys can't fight because if you guys go in and like nothing but the elites go in, they'll collect all your biomass, all your data, and turn it right back on us. We literally cannot let you do this because if you do, we are all fucked. So the Primarchs actually can't get involved in this because if they ever were to die, they would get the DNA of a Primarch, the biomass and the genetic details of a Primarch. They'd be able to make Primarch Ray Tyranids, and that's it. You're done. You're done. The moment that happens, they're just over. Game over. So it's a really interesting element right now. Because right now, I've mentioned them before, the Custodes, they're the Emperor's bodyguard. Because they're very aware, oh shit, these guys are on their way to Terra, let's send out strike forces to deal with them. The Custodes are currently not fighting any of the hard battles. They're fighting like we've caught you trying to sneak in, we'll just crush you quickly and let someone else handle it.
Ooh, I just saw a lightning flash through the window.
Ooh.
Oh, there's the rumble. Thunderstorm, let's go!
Thunder.
Time for me to remove one of my headphones so that I can listen.
Appreciate.
Oh, hang on, give me a second, I'm gonna turn off the fan for a split second. Oh, there's the fucking rain! Hell yes.
Yes.
I know everybody has their own varying opinions. I like rain more.
Me and Stacey are both very much of the opinion that we love, like, just on a lazy day, just like being cuddled together and just listening to rain.
Yeah, I love the sound of rain.
Because primarily the rain makes it cooler, so that means that we can cuddle without getting too overheated.
Oh, bless.
So yeah, they're basically terrified of these using their most powerful guys, because if they do, and they lose their most powerful guys, things go bad really quickly. So it's an interesting element of you can't use your biggest weapons, your obvious Deus Ex Machinas, because if you do and you lose them, that one, because of course we narratively know Gilliman won't be killed, the Lion won't be killed. They're too easy a print of money for GW to ever kill off. They'll never do it. But in canon, in setting, they don't know that. They don't know that these guys have plot armor. So they're like, no, you cannot do this. If you do this and you die, we're all fucked. Do you realize this? So it's this really cool element where they just have to use the masses. And the thing is that the Imperium are setting up like bastions and walls of spaceships and the like, because Tyranids, thankfully, can't use warp travel. They have to physically get there. So they have to just literally mosey their ass across to try to, like, I'm gonna get you. So whenever they can't do that, or whenever it's slowed down, it's really difficult for them, because primarily the main tactic with the Nids is you have to make the Nids think your world is not worth taking. Like, it's going to cost them so much to take it that it is not worth the resources for them to try and do it. Essentially, that's what you have to kind of do. But these Nids don't give a damn about that, it seems, and are just ready to just fucking come in and just do as much damage as they can. Which, for a lot of those guys, for the Space Marines and all the good guys, is terrifying news, because they're not slowing down, guys. They're meant to slow down when this happens. They're not slowing down. Guys, what do we do? Again, we can't, like, rely on our Primarchs and our super powerful guys to fight this thing, because number one, the Lion is MIA, because he always is. He teleports around. You literally can't keep track of him.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing the bastard, he probably prefers it that way, because then things which go bump in the night are like, if I poke my head out, the Lion might be there going, hi, buddy. Goodbye, buddy.
Yes, cool. Beams. Oh no, I'm always on edge when you say that. Thanks. Oh my god, so many puppies. And a cat!
Is there
Aw.
a planet cat in the middle of all those puppies going, help?
On another cat! Bless. Aw, that's very cute.
I think I might actually be nearly done with Ruby. Holy shit, I didn't think I'd get him done this fast. I guess it's the thing of his primary. The one advantage of this guy's guns is that he doesn't have any. He basically just has 2 giant claws and like a few minimal amounts of other stuff. Right. The only thing he's missing right now is his decals, which I'll be able to do at another point. Like
Yeah.
I might do his decals tomorrow, because what you do is you use a contrast, or like a technical medium or a contrast, and you just like it across,
Yes.
and it just gives like that kind of varnishy look, and then you can put your thing on it, and then you go on again. Also, I've been really impressed with the Miss Frog in a Jar over here behind me, because she's been doing really great work with her Thousand Suns, her models for
Ooh.
40K herself. Essentially, she's got a bunch of essentially space beastmen. They're more like referred to as mutants in 40K than they are anything else, just because it's an easy catch-all term for them. It's also apt for what they are in fantasy, but in fantasy they're a little bit more difficult to document. So right, I can really see how someone could play with some glue with this. The kind of thing that some people do with this, right? But I might not do it with him right now. I might wait. Is what they do is they take a little bit of glue. Oh, you know what? Let's see if I can. Let's see how brave I want to be. Because essentially I can do it to 2 of the claws that are higher up. So what you do is you take a little bit of whatever paint you want. In this case, I want this one here. That's a technical. Take a nice little dollop of that. Spread it onto the page. Close that up because we're not using it anymore. Clean the fuck out of this brush. Make sure this brush is not only clean but then dry.
Ooh, another rumble.
Ooh, very nice. Then we take some glue. We dollop a tiny smidge of it, not much, just a smidge, next to it. And then we take our least favorite brush and we mix the 2 together. Oh, that's giving a very nice color to even just the page when it's like mixed out across. Then, because this is a little bit glued, take a dollop of it.
I recoiled a little bit then because I thought I was painting on the wrong layer.
Ooh, thankfully not.
No, thankfully not.
Okay, that's not done what I wanted it to do. So we won't do that with this. essentially what I might do is I might take a little bit of glue once that's dried and essentially let it like develop on the end of the tip of the glue, like little metal pipe. Tip it to the top tip it to the top. I know. Put it against the top of the top claw and let it just hang a little bit, and then kind of like put my brush or put something underneath it just to be like that's where it'll end, like it won't stiff any further. Like let that harden a bit and then just put a technical color across it and it's like dripping blood. Because this guy is all about the melee, those claws are meant for stabbing.
Yeah.
But aside from his additional pieces, I think he is match ready. He's not. I think what the term is referred to as parade ready, which is when the model would be like ready to be on parade, essentially. I got the wrong. Okay. What time is it? Alright, it's 10 to 11. No, I'm not going to try and do them, but what I will do is... Got a bit of time still. I'll take some of my decals, and I'll cut the ones I want to use out.
Yeah.
So that I have them ready for tomorrow, and I know which ones I'm going to use. So then... Essentially, some of these are marked as like being this is for a head, this is for a vehicle, this is for a ancient, this is just a giant fire icon. And then there's what squadron they're in, because you can actually like there's a 1 through 10 that you can do, and you can just put that against like a bunch of your models to be like, oh, these are the models that go in unit 1, this is the one for unit 2, so on.
Yes.
Massive pain in the ass though, so I don't do it. I just grab the bastards out and go, congratulations lad, you're unit 1 today, congratulations lad, you're unit 2 today. Because the way they've done it now, a bunch of the bolt guns are the same, so it's not like you have to make these guys vote these guys, or otherwise your entire unit is infallible when it comes to a legal fucking game. And I'm like, shut up. Where is here? That's my base. That's my layer. There you are. My XS Artificer layer. This is the smallest brush I have. I love it to death because I do a lot of really fine detail work because I really enjoy doing it. And I won't lie, there's a lot of times where I'm like, why don't I just buy another one? Because I kind of want to buy another one. Because I use that one so much, I want to get another one to do it more. Where the fuck is my knife? There it is. Yeah, we can go with the biggest one of these, because again, he's a fucking chunker of a lad. Okay, and we'll do that one as well because I'll use that piece. So we have his chest, his shoulder, the two for his knees. Use that for his chest as well, and we'll actually take out these two and we'll use these for his shoulders. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 60 counts I'll be going on this guy. Because he has two for his. Essentially, the thing about this guy that's quite nice and what made him really easy to paint is he's got a bunch of just broad plates on him, which makes it very easy to. Because again, my first night, I was just going to do base color across all of this, and I was like, huh, that's actually made that immensely easy. Oh, I'm actually liking how the blood for the blood god's coming out now, because it's slightly fading. And you know how there's a coppery afterlook to blood?
Yes.
Because I know you've cut yourself plenty of times because you're a klutz.
It's
We love
me,
you.
yeah.
You're a klutz, but we love you. Never a dismissal. Only
I'm unfortunately familiar with blood, yes.
Do I want to give them the ancient icon, or actually I will give them the ancient one. It's got that copper to the sides of it in that way, which is quite nice. I'm really liking it. So of course I'm down for that because I'm like, that's fucking cool. I think that's neat, and I like that. Okay, we use this icon as an ancient icon instead of that one. So we'll put these two. Let's see now. 1, 2, 3, 6. Knees, shoulders, chest. Okay. The actual process of putting a transfer on is a relatively satisfying one, provided you go at it with a good brush. Because what you have to do is you would firstly put on whatever your technical is. That's going to be basically like a varnish layer. I said that already. But you put that onto the base of where the model's going to be, but you put it across the entire. So if there's a square and you're putting the transfer in that square, you do the whole square with the color, because it will give a blotchiness to the exterior if you don't, where it ends. So you have to just make sure you get it so it's a nice flat thing, so it looks like it belongs. Then you wet both sides of the transfer, and you leave it there for about 30 seconds ish, and it'll start. The transfer will start breaking away from the paper it's on, and you take your brush and you more or less from the edge, especially if it's a square top to it, it's very nice for that. You just shimmy that bastard until you have it on the brush. Ideally, you've gotten it in a way where it's how do I say it? You ideally have it in a way where you're holding it where it's gonna. That's the way it's gonna be facing. It's not upside down or anything. You take the model and you just go floop, and just spread it across on the brush to make sure that it's staying on flat. You let it set, and then you put another technical over it as a protective layer so that the decal doesn't get worn off.
Yes.
But let's take a picture of Bruty the Brutalis Dreadnought.
Yeah.
Because he's not too far away from being done. Actually. We have a Titanic fucking base holder here. I may as well use the fucking thing. Ooh, I like that light. Oh, the blood comes out very well in the photo.
Nice.
There's not much going on. Like a flat girl, there's not much going on the back of him.
Wow.
A flat person, I should say. When no one's got good bunda, we all our heart breaks for them. Okay, let's put the big man on.
They have no ass. Tragic.
I have no ass and I must scream. Right.
Terminally. It's terminally just been dealt with. No ass.
There he is. probably give portions of him another paint over of like a green to get it like as a neater color, because it's kind of appears a bit brushed on the picture, more so than it does in real life, honestly. So I might actually go back over that on another day, because I have time now. I have basically tomorrow to do decals, which I didn't think I'd have, so I have loads of time. Hey, Fluff, it is 1 minute away from being 11 o'clock. I think that's an apt time for us to end it.
How precise of you. I got one more. I got one more ear to colour, so hang on. What, are you gonna stop if you had like, you know, a gun left to paint? No, you're gonna paint the gun.
Yes, I am. I'm not gonna paint the fucking gun. But no, I'd probably like look at it and go. See, the worst part is blue. You say that to me, and I'm like, depends on the gun.
See?
Like, is it a pistol? Maybe. Is it a multi-meltacyclone meltalance? No.
It's me we're talking to. If I say gun, I mean a fucking pistol.
It's a helicopter. Also, just to round out the night, I will comment on the fact that me and Stacey did see into the Across the Spider-Verse, and we cannot recommend that film enough.
Seems to be the general response to it.
Yeah. As an artist, it's one of those ones where it's like you're a good chef, but you're like a good local chef, and you've just gone to Gordon Ramsay's place, and you're like, whoa, you just blew my tits off. Just fully. Just want me to do top surgery quickly. Sorry. But it just entirely blows what you'd expect out of the water. It's like so solid. And some elements of it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm legitimately discussing it with Frog and going, did these motherfuckers plan this since the last film? Like, this was set up in the last film.
Oh, yes, like, absolutely.
Yeah, motherfuckers.
There we go. Right, guess I'll be doing the other one tomorrow.
Yeah. Should be relatively easy to do because it's just like a few of the details will be changed.
Oh, it's colouring. It's colouring.
Ah, pardon me.
I was about to be like, are you not looking? And then I was like, no, you're not. You're on a different table because you're
No,
painting.
I am looking. I've stopped painting.
There you go. I've got to colour one of them. That's it. Well, I gotta put the little bit of like blues light chest. I said this yesterday, the advantage of having a very simply designed persona is that colouring and retexturing does not take long, which is nice.
Yeah.
Which is probably another reason why I'll never redesign blue to have more complicated markings.
I've just posted him up on Twitter. Broody wants a hug! And immediately I've gotten a few likes.
Yay!
Because people appreciate Broody.
Yay! We love to see it.
He is going to die first thing on the match on Friday because of newest model syndrome, where if a model is freshly painted, they're going to die. It is not a case of if, it's a case of when.
Fair. Awesome. Oh, well, glad my Steam Deck's working again after everything broke yesterday.
Yeah, boy.
Oh god, that's not the screen I wanted to appear at all. Still as professional as ever. Right, I had... What is turned on? What isn't turned on? There we go, that's not what's working.
I've just looked across and I am so confused. Why the fuck has Chapter 1 of Poppy Playtime been remastered? What the hell?
How do you remaster something that's barely a year old? It's not even like it was bad, to be honest. It's not like they needed to fix anything. And like, you know what that is? That is we need to recon a bunch of lore. That's what that is.
When did this game come out? 21. This was October in 2021.
That's
So
ridiculous. That's ridiculous that it's being
not even.
remastered.
Yeah, it's not even 2 years old. I'm like, why?
Yeah, that's we're retconning a bunch of shit. That's what that is.
Hmm.
We're retconning a bunch of stuff. It could also be a cash grab as well, which is also more likely the answer.
Knowing these folks, it probably is. Right. So, Pearl,
Oops, we ran out of money.
what are these nerds expecting from you tomorrow?
Well, in the afternoon, I'm going to be continuing working on what I've done tonight, and probably maybe something else because there's not a lot left on this, so I probably won't be able to fill an entire 3-hour stream with it. So, I'll find something.
Blue.
I'll find something.
Return of random Pokemon.
Maybe actually. God, I haven't done that in ages. That tends to be a warm. That tends to be a warm up though. Rather
Yeah,
than
but if
the
it's,
drawing
it
topic.
could be your warm up for tomorrow.
Yes, it could be. When it comes to the evening, the simple answer is I don't know. Carl's approached me before I messaged her to just simply say that she couldn't do tonight. It tends to be the pattern that, because Carl's obviously very busy writing a master's thesis, is that she gives herself one night to have off, and she tends to save that night for Dragon Age over Art Stream. So
Yeah.
you'll have to turn up and find out. Naturally, it'll be announced and stuff, you know, when the stream goes live as to what it is. I will say, if Dragon Age gets cancelled, there is a chance that it won't be Cult of the Lamb because I have a different game that I want to play. But it's not even worth mentioning because it may not even happen. So if you're curious to find out what that is, then you'll have to come tomorrow. Simple as. So, yeah. I'm probably going to go have a cold shower because it's been very humid today and it's sticky. Yeah, and it will also cool down. And it also sounds like the storm has stopped, so that was very short. Oh. But anyway, thank you so much as always, Das, for keeping me company. And thank you everyone in
pleasure.
chat for hanging out with us, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye! Good.